I'm Grace Torrey, and you're listening to That Girl, the podcast. Grab a beverage of choice and settle in, because the new episode is starting now. Hey guys, what is up? It's your girl, Grace Torrey, and I'm back with a whole new podcast episode. I am talking about turning off reality for a little bit and just kind of like hitting the do not disturb on life and what that has taught me. You're probably a little confused on that, so let me back up. As you guys know, I am on Thanksgiving break. Work gave us Wednesday through Sunday off. Obviously, they gave us Saturday and Sunday off, but that Wednesday through Friday we also had off. So initially the plan was to get as much done as possible. But as you guys remember from my previous episodes, I am trying to prioritize resting more and being in a more of a resting, coming up with ideas, chilling, kind of just seeing what happens phase versus a action, planning, crazy work ethic stage, because I've been in that stage for years, and let me tell you, I am tired. So I went into extreme detail and kind of talked about what I meant by that in that last episode. So if you want to hear more about that, go see that. I think it's called How to Rest When Anxiety Makes It Seem Impossible, I think, but definitely check that out if you want to see more about that. But I kind of changed my approach to the podcast and life and work and everything I've been doing because of that. And the initial plan was to upload a podcast episode on Wednesday and then take the rest of the time. But I woke up sick on Wednesday, so fun and fresh for me. So one of the very first instincts I had was to work through it and get it up anyway. But I felt like that would be kind of it'd be hypocritical of me to post the podcast episode about resting and being gentler with myself and not pushing myself when I literally physically cannot do anything. And so after posting that and literally meaning it and trying to implement it, I felt like it was best for me to rest. So I did post that update on my Instagram. So if you were looking for a Wednesday episode, you didn't get one and you were really confused, it was on my Instagram update. So definitely follow me on That Girl the Pod if you're looking for updates like that and something goes on and you're confused. So that being said, I did take this time to rest, turn off reality, literally do not disturb, didn't see anyone other than like people I coincidentally ran into, didn't really do much but rest and be gentle with myself. And if I felt like doing something, I'd do it, but it really was not super crazy. I didn't do anything insane. I literally went to the gym once. I just took this time to heal my mind. I feel like my mind is so hyperactive that I didn't know how to rest. I literally could not think. My brain just felt like mush from being so active for so long, and I needed time to kind of reset. So I wanted to talk to you guys about things that I learned in this time, and hopefully you have some takeaways from this. Hopefully these are good, wholesome things. But yeah, before I do that, of course, I have to do a quick life update. Thanksgiving, if you're in America, was this past Thursday. I hope you had a good Thanksgiving. I know this day can be kind of hard for some people, so I'm proud of you for getting through it. I'm proud of you for handling it the way that you did, and hopefully you did have a good holiday despite any reservations you had about it. We just went to Josh's family's house and had a really chill day, just ate some good food. We literally took a nap, and it was just a calm, chill experience. So I hope that you guys had a calm day. I know it can be kind of dramatic, so if you did have any family drama or anything like that, oof, at least it was entertaining. So yeah, that's really it for me. Like I said, I was resting, and I'll kind of get into some things I learned from that, but nothing crazy. We did get most of Christmas up. There's still a tiny bit left. I did kind of reorganize my closet. I started the process of it, so I did some things that I really have been wanting to do but haven't, and I've been putting it off, but I was really gentle with it. I didn't exactly finish anything or rush to finish anything. I've also been working on crocheting stockings for us this year. That's like a fun thing I thought I would do. But other than that, I've just been chilling. So hopefully you guys have had a nice restful weekend as well. If you had some time off, you had some restful time off. But that's pretty much it. Before I jump in, don't forget to follow on whatever platform you're currently listening or watching on. Don't forget to also follow on Instagram and TikTok at That Girl the Pod. But other than that, let's go ahead and jump on in. So I was in my own little world essentially for this break. I was on social media slightly. I was more towards the beginning, but it was more of posting stories of what I've been up to and not really watching anything. I made it a point to detox from any sort of technology, so I wasn't really watching anything. I wasn't doom scrolling, or I was trying not to, at least the best to my ability, and I wasn't like keeping up with anything going on. So I was really out of it, and that was great. I had so much fun. I might do that a little bit longer, other than just like posting my own stuff. I might stay off and not be super engaged for a little while because it was just so freeing. And it was just freeing in general to not have to feel a certain obligation to do anything. Like, I constantly have a schedule made for myself where it's like, I work on this podcast, then I work on this podcast, then I work on the Barkade, then I have to go to the gym, and then I have to cook dinner, and then I have to go to bed, and then I go to work, and then I have to make sure that everything is done a certain way, and my outfit's picked out, and everything's made, and I just did none of that. The only thing I really prioritized is my own self-care. So yeah, I whitened my teeth and continued to do my skincare routine, but it was more out of love than out of checking something off a to-do list. It didn't feel like a chore. It felt like just a love thing to do, and I'm doing this because I want to honor my body and take care of my body, rather than I need to do this and then I can go to bed, which is what it was feeling like because I had so much on my table. So that being said, that's really all I did, and this is what I learned from it. Number one, if you are someone who is blessed and you have the basic necessities like food, water, a roof over your head, electricity, things like that, you know, things that are necessities, then your goals usually aren't what matters most. They're just fun bonuses. So for me, my goals are for the podcast to do well. My goals are for the Barkade to do well. My goals are for me to go to the gym. And while these are amazing goals to have, they're very ambitious, they're very exciting, they are not what matters most in the world. What matters most in the world is my family and, you know, having basic necessities so that I can live a life where I'm comfortable. And I have those needs met. I have family. I have, you know, to me, like, I have Josh and my pets. I live with them. They're right there, and hanging out with them does mean what's most to me. So goals are fun bonuses to me. If I don't meet a goal for the day, I shouldn't be beating myself up as much as I do. I shouldn't be as hard on myself as I am, because at the end of the day, everything I have is right here with me already, and everything I could want in the world and everything I need is there with me, and I should just be, I am so blessed, and I should be so grateful every day because of that. And I shouldn't go to bed each night upset that I didn't meet these goals. I should be grateful that I do have all these amazing things, and just being able to spend time with them and remind myself why I am so grateful, and not overlook them to focus so heavily on other things, and rather just cherish the time I have with them and live in the present, has taught me that. So that's just a fun reminder if you are someone who is very ambitious, which I'm assuming you're listening to this podcast because you are goal driven. That's kind of like the whole premise of it. Just to remind you that all those little things, we tend to take them for granted, but they are so important, and it's so beautiful and such a big blessing that you have them in your life. So just take some time to remember that today, and take some time to spend time with your family and spend time with your pets and spend time with those who mean the most to you, because that's what actually matters in the world. Now that that little spiel is over, I had a realization, and I was listening to the What We Said podcast, and that's kind of what helped me have this realization. But not only are negative emotions unavoidable, but you have to experience them, and there's no running away from them. I think that I tend to try and run from negative emotions, and that may be why I fill my plate up so much, because I'm an anxious person, and I know that if I fill my plate up, there won't be any brain power left to focus on negative emotions. So that may be part of the reason why I do it. But they're unavoidable, and the goal should not be to see how far you can run and how long you can put them off, but how to best navigate them and communicate through them. So you should be focusing on, how can I learn from this? How can I communicate with those I need to communicate when it comes to negative situations? And how can I just grow from it, rather than, oh my gosh, I feel a negative emotion coming on, that makes me feel icky, I'm gonna go to the gym and run so that I don't have to think about it. you need to experience it, and it's not, like I said, it's not something you can run from. It's a part of life. Like, it is something you are going to experience it, whether you want to or not. So you just have to accept it and work through it and learn to become better at communicating and navigating rather than running. So that's kind of something I am telling myself over and over again. I am working on seeing the positive in things, because I have a tendency to get in loops of just like cycles where I see the negative over and over again and I don't focus on the positive. And that is something I'm aware of and I'm working on. But the negative is inevitable. And if there wasn't negative, there wouldn't be positive. So you need to just learn to grow through it a little bit more and be more graceful through it rather than panicking and running, which is what I tend to do. Rest doesn't have to be something that you dread. It doesn't have to be something that you just don't like. Like, rest is something that I had a bad taste in my mouth for. I did it because it was a necessity, and I went until I literally had to rest. Like, I ran myself until I had no choice but to rest. But it can be fun, and you need to kind of see the fun in it, see the positives in it, which, as I mentioned, that's something I'm working on. And not only can rest be fun, but all of life can be fun. There's so much fun that you're missing out on by being focused on work and running and how far can you get rather than just enjoying the journey. So all of life can be fun. You just have to focus on the fun throughout it. Set boundaries. Setting boundaries is so important. We know when boundaries are important. We know that. I know. You guys know they're important. But set those boundaries. I'm going to say it and I'll say it again. Setting boundaries is so important, and I don't think that you will give yourself room to grow and become a better person if you don't set boundaries so that you have the space to do that. So set boundaries. Being kind is probably the most important goal you can have, and you should always strive to be kinder. You could be the most kind person in the entire world and there's still room to grow. So that should be a goal that you have. It should be something that's on your radar, and it should be something that you're always working to grow in. Okay, this one is a little rough. So I have this problem where if I have a conflict with someone, I ghost them, and it's not intentional. Like, I just have a hard time navigating those emotions, and so I ghost them until I can regulate my emotions and then come back and discuss it, and that's not healthy. Like, you can't just ghost someone because you don't like it. You just need to communicate, and it may be a hard conversation, but you can't run from that conversation simply because it's hard. So, guys, don't run, discuss things, do not ghost people. I mean, you can ghost someone if it's an unhealthy relationship, but you have to communicate with them first and then kind of discuss how you're cutting them off, why you're cutting them off, why you're setting those boundaries with them. And then you can kind of cut them off, which is no longer ghosting. That's something else entirely. So all that to say, communication, communication, communication. Stop ghosting people. Stop ghosting people. It's giving growth. It's giving maturity. It's giving communication, guys. Our key word for 2024, I think, is going to be communication. So you cannot expect people to read your mind. You cannot expect people to navigate their entire life based on how you feel and what's going on in your life, because you're not on the forefront of their mind at all times. They're on the forefront. And that doesn't mean that what they did was right or wrong. It just means that you need to have a conversation about it. You can't ghost people. Pivoting is a necessary part of life. Enjoy the roadblocks and make the most of them. An example of this is I was decorating for Christmas the other day, and I realized that I lost the key to our shed where half of our Christmas decorations are, and Josh has it. Well, Josh was working until 8 p.m. So there was literally no way that I was going to be able to decorate those Christmas decorations unless I went and got the key from him, but it's really not that big of a deal. So what I did was instead is I started crocheting these little stockings, and I'm having fun with it. It's a good time. I'm enjoying it. But I wouldn't have started this fun project where I'm crocheting these stockings. I wouldn't have started these fun new things if I would have been starting Christmas. And I'm still going to decorate for Christmas. It's on the plan to do today. But instead of looking at it and like sulking and being like, gosh darn it, why did I not, why didn't he know I was decorating? Why? And getting mad at him or getting mad at myself, I just was like, okay, that's fine. I'll think of a fun new way to decorate. What else can I do? And that's what I started to focus on, is Christmas stockings, and I'm having fun with it. So that's a fun idea, or a fun example of how I navigated something that was an obstacle and turned it into a fun little vibe. Get creative. I love creativity. I feel like the world literally runs on innovation and creativity. You guys know that. And getting creative is just like a fun part of that. Like, if you're not a creative person, work on stretching that muscle and working that muscle. If you are a creative person, give yourself the space to do it by setting boundaries and giving yourself the energy to do creative things. But being creative is just so fun and such a good part of life, and I think it's one of my strongest assets and one of the things I love most about myself. So giving myself the ability to do that by resting and keeping space for that, holding space for that, is what makes it so much better. So allowing myself to do that is just such a fun time. Like, just do creative things because you want to, not because you think you're gonna get a new business idea, you're gonna get new, anything new out of that. Just do it because you love it and you want to be creative and see what you build out of that. Rest enough to feel energized enough to communicate and be creative. I kind of talked about it a second ago, but if you don't rest enough to give yourself the energy to do that, you're going to feel exhausted. You're not going to show up as your best self. You're not going to navigate situations properly. So you need to make sure you're resting and setting boundaries to do that to begin with. There is absolutely nothing wrong with protecting your peace and setting plans to protect your peace. People are going to tell you there is things wrong with that. People are going to tell you that what you're doing is wrong. But if you are not hurting anyone and you are simply protecting your peace and living a life of kindness, peace, and just like contentment, there is nothing wrong with that. Even though people are going to tell you there is. If you cut someone off because they are hurting your mental health, hurting your peace, people are going to have a problem with that. But if you've done all the necessary things, you've tried to make it work and it's not working out, it's okay. It's absolutely valid. You are absolutely valid to protect your peace and your kindness, your mental health, all those things. It's okay to be the villain in someone else's story. Actually, it's inevitable. You're not gonna be able to please everyone. You will be the villain in someone's story, and that's totally fine. You're not gonna be the villain in everybody's story. You shouldn't be the villain in everybody's story, but you will be in some people's story, and that's totally okay. That's literally life. Like, being the villain can be fun. Like, as long as you stay true to yourself and you feel that what you did was the best that you could do and the kindest and the most beneficial thing that you could do at that time, then that's okay. As long as you go to bed with a clear conscience, it's okay. They may not see it that way. They may think that you are the villain, but that's fine. My last tip that I want to end it on is stop people pleasing and just be kind and honest instead. What we said did talk about being honest instead of people pleasing a little bit, but I want to add to that. People pleasing is not what you should be striving for. I know it's kind of hard to not be a people pleaser because no one wants to hurt someone's feeling. No one wants to set boundaries and do things incorrectly. No one wants to do that. Like, people want to people please. It's the natural thing to do because it leads to the least amount of conflict. But you kind of have to set boundaries. You kind of have to be the bad guy sometimes. And instead of people pleasing, stop seeing like how you can navigate and just be as honest and kind as you can the most. Wow, okay, I'm not talking correctly. I need to eat a pizza or something. I'm getting lightheaded because I forgot to eat today and I drank coffee. But okay, yeah, focus on being kind and honest. Don't overextend yourself to people please. Don't hurt yourself to people please. As long as you are honest and kind with people, let them know what you're capable of doing, let them know where your boundaries lie, and as long as you do that, you're going to be fine and you're going to cut out a lot of people-pleasing tendencies. So I hope this made sense. I hope that you learned something from this. I hope that you had an amazing Thanksgiving if you celebrate, but I think that is it. I want to know what your top tips are if you are someone who has spent some time away from reality during this break. But other than that, I love you guys so much. Like I mentioned, don't forget to follow. If you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, leave a rating and review. It would mean the absolute world to me, and it would take you 2 seconds. It's free. If you watch this far and you are on a platform where you can comment, YouTube, I'm looking at you, leave a Christmas tree emoji so that I know you watched this far and you're a real one. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I love you so much. I upload every single Wednesday and Sunday. I will see you guys on Wednesday. If you're watching this on this Sunday it comes out, I hope you have a great night. If you're watching this any other day, I hope you have a great morning, afternoon, or night. I love you guys so much, and I will see you very soon. Bye guys. Love you.